Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of Life Chronicles and Deep Dives podcast. I'm here with Coach Cornelia, and she is in Denmark right now.
Yes, hello everybody. Welcome back. Hi, Micah.
How are you? I had a couple of small announcements that I wanted to add. One, we know that the quality, like on bigger screens, we're having some issues with like some quality. We both are going to get new webcams. I'm going to get one first, and hopefully, since I'm the one doing the main recording, that the since I'll have a higher native resolution, like maybe that her webcam will then, when we do the recording, it will allow it to process at a higher definition rather than post processing high definition or adding like a filter to try to upscale the quality. So we know that that's a thing. So we're working towards getting that fixed. The second thing is I had a friend of mine. We're doing a right now we're it's Labor Day weekend. We have a music festival that happens here in my town, and they close off an entire street, and they have two stages on either side, and you can walk back and forth between the stages, and just listen to different bands. And everybody's out there, so you're running into everybody. We live in a small community. And a friend of mine stopped me, and I'm not going to say his name, but he knows who he is because he watches every single episode that we have out there. And he stopped me, and he said, "Hey man, I've been watching your podcast, I've been watching your videos. You got to keep doing it." And it was great encouragement. So I want to say thank you, and a big shout out to that individual for stopping me on the street and giving me that like. Next is that a few episodes ago, and we're done with the announcements parts. A few episodes ago, we ended the episode, and Cornelia was talking about baking, and so I wanted to hear some more about baking. I don't know anything about baking, uh, and when I do try it, I usually make a mess. So Cornelia, take it away. Tell us about baking, and then we'll talk about some differences between the U.S. and Europe in baking.
Um, I'm not sure about the other countries in Europe, but in Romania, it's a tradition to bake, or at least it was a tradition to bake. So, as far as I know, I've been eating baked things only from my grandmother's and later from my mom because she started to bake a little bit later. So, only from the grandmothers. And this is where I learned how to bake as well. And I was talking about this with a friend the other day. When I first started to bake, I called one of my grandmothers and I asked her, "How do I make it?" It's like people know this as langosh. It's like a Hungarian baked, like you have the donuts. It's something traditional in Europe. So we borrowed this recipe, or we made it all the time. I don't know, but we borrowed the name. Um, so it's very simple to make, but when you first bake, you don't know how to deal with the ingredients, when to put it, how much, how long do you have to wait for it, and so on. So when I first called her, she said it's the simplest thing in the world. You do this and this and this, and I've done everything she said, and it was a really bad thing. It was something very, I mean, it was uneatable.
Mhm.
So then I called her again and I said, "What did I do wrong?" And she was like, "Did you do this? Like I told you, yes, I did. Did you do this? Did you did you happen to have put some sugar in it?" And I said, "Yes, of course, because I think you forgot to tell me that I have to put sugar in it." And she said, "Never put sugar in it. The only time you put sugar is when you try to activate the ingredients and just a very small amount of sugar." And from there, I started to understand how baking works, how the flour works with water, with oil, and anything else. And for me, it became a pleasure. I mean, I prefer to bake to doing anything else in the kitchen. I really love to bake, and I'm doing this. I'm not sure many people are still doing it because everyone is busy. And as you all know, in Romania, I didn't have the time to bake.
Mhm.
But in here, I'm doing it weekly. So
Okay.
it's very nice. It's very relaxing for me.
So my wife does a pretty good job with the baking, an excellent job. From what I remember as a kid, my mother didn't really bake as much, and when she did, it was out of the box. So my grandmother did quite a bit of baking, and I
Mm.
still have some of my grandmother's recipe cards,
Yeah.
with the baking recipes for the casseroles and stuff. Not so much desserts. It was more like baking food to eat, like as a regular dish. In terms of the differences, I don't really know too much about baking. Everything that I've baked is out of the box, which is a shame because like you take away, you're describing like the individual ingredients. There's a lot of convenience that's packed into this baking nowadays. So you lose that tradition that's been passed down through generations. A lot of times you see like young girls, they like want to learn how to bake. My daughter's with her mother learning how to cook, learning how to bake, which is great because my ex-wife had like a cupcake
Mhm.
business, and so like she was
Oh,
baking. She does a lot of cooking out of recipes. So my daughter is definitely learning those skills, and it's being passed down. But a lot of people, you're right, are they're so busy, they're not doing like the mother-daughter baking tradition that you see. In terms of the differences, it sounds like you guys have a lot more intricate baking stuff over in Europe than we have here in the United States. Because like we got donuts, cakes, brownies, uh, muffins, everything's standard, right? But you guys have more traditional items, more wide variety of cultures where
yeah.
like you're cooking different stuff. When you come here, you go to the grocery store, you go to the bakery section, and it's a pretty standard fare of what you can get: cakes and all the sweet treats and stuff. But it's all processed food.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah, that's why I prefer, first of all, this is why I prefer to do it because it's much, much healthier. Even if it has sugar in it, at least you know the amount and you know that you don't have the rest of ingredients that are not very healthy.
Mhm.
So that's the first thing. Then, um, the pleasure of doing it. It's just relaxing.
Mhm.
At least for me, maybe not for everyone. So yeah, you were telling me about your daughter and her ex-wife. It's the same with my daughter, like this pleasure to cook with her, to teach her how to do it.
Mhm.
As a mom, you're thinking that maybe it's gonna come a time when she needs these skills.
Mhm.
You never know what's gonna happen, and maybe she's gonna need to make a bread
Mhm.
just from three ingredients, and she's gonna have to know.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's a great skill to pass forward because you're going to eat. You're going to have to eat, and then you do get a lot of pleasure from, just doing it. Now, you say it's relaxing. I've seen some TV shows that, for them, it's not relaxing because they're in a competition, or
Oh yeah.
somebody's doing like a video online and they're baking and they're like stressing out because like it doesn't turn out right 6 times in a row, and then the seventh time they get
Mhm.
it or something. And it's just interesting to watch different things, and then like how different people bake differently, or all the different recipes that you can do with it. I mean, but food is such a versatile medium to like practice a lot of stuff besides eating it.
Yeah, you can adjust it. I mean, once you know how to bake one thing, you can just you then can adjust it to anything. You can
Absolutely.
do anything. So many things that, for example, when I've made sour cherries tart,
Hmm.
I've seen that in my garden we have some trees. I didn't know about it, about these sour cherry trees in our garden. We had some. What should I do? That recipe is normally made with apples. I adjusted it, so I made it with sour cherry. You can do anything you have in the fridge if you know the main things about baking,
Hmm.
the basic ones. I mean.
So, my wife, she orders bread from a lady who's making, bread, and I watch shows, so I have a general idea of how, it's down. But like, I mean, besides desserts, you can bake, breads.
Mhm.
There's full blown like meals. You bake lasagna, you got casseroles and stuff like that. And it's just such an interesting thing. I I could probably get away with making something like that you could eat. That's not a dessert.
I'm sure.
um, like getting the ingredients right so it doesn't settle or shrink or collapse or whatever. I don't know. Maybe
I
I
mean,
should.
sometimes people are choosing some very hard recipes. I'm
Yeah.
never doing it. I'm never doing it. So I'm just go with what I know. If I'm learning something new, I have someone who I'm following, and she's doing very very easy recipes. I mean, every time I've been doing her recipes, everything went very well.
Mhm.
So I'm doing something simple. I'm not doing soufflés, for example, because you have to have a certain kind of cooking it and so on. And it's when you take it out of the
Mhm.
when you take it out of the oven, it's gonna collapse.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's a failure. So I'm not going with these kind of very, very complicated things.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's just like cuisine, cooking. I mean, especially in Europe where there's so many different like pastries and breads and cakes and I don't know what else they have over there, but they call them different names across the globe. But yes, baking is a very it's interesting to me. Maybe I'll take it up. I've got several cookbooks, maybe it's something I can I can delve into and maybe I'll like it. You never know.
You will, yeah, I'm sure you will. I remember my grandmother. She used to make. We are still making a homemade pie, but not the American one where we have you. I've seen that you have
Yeah,
a pie crust, and you have apples, for example, and then you
right.
put something
Yeah.
again. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, in Romania, my grandmother used to make, we are making these field pies. It's like she was rolling the pie very thin, very, very thin. Like I think it's thinner than a A4 page, for example. It was much, you could see through it. It was transparent. And then she would fill it with cheese or apples or whatever, and pumpkin. That one was the best. It was my favorite. And then she would roll it, and she would make some very long pieces of pie,
Mhm.
and roll it again in like a circle and put it in the oven. So it didn't have that feeling like you have it over there,
Got it.
down up. It was just something, some dough filled with it, and many, many, many of them.
Okay, so
And
it's
it's
different, looks different, Okay, so that's the differences that I'd like to, that we were exploring. That's interesting.
And then every New Year, she would make these pies, and she would put some. I mean, I think it's a East Europe tradition. She would put some money in it, of course, in such some paper, and it's this tradition. Who's getting those money? Who's finding those money in the pie? Is gonna have a great year to come.
Oh,
So yeah, it's a great tradition. We are still doing it, even though you're buying from a bakery. They are still putting this in the pies.
okay. So that's a tradition that's carried on, through even like the commercial sector.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So we're talking about pies. We're gonna go the complete opposite direction away from baking right now. We're gonna switch into um running. So uh
I mean, it's not so separate because after you eat some pies, you have to go and run.
you have to go run it off. Yeah. Or you could just run with the pies in your
Oh
hand.
yes, who
Yes.
is very good at it can do it. Yes.
Yeah, you balancing it while you're trying to like sprint down the road. Yes. Somebody might look at you kind of weird and they might think you stole it. But you know what? Running is a necessary skill. So, when I was younger, I used to play basketball and soccer, and then we would go out on recess, for the breaks in school, grade school, middle school, and I would run all the time, right?
Mm.
You're seeing less and less of people running these days, but it is a necessary skill because you have to be able to run in case of an emergency. If you're not doing it for sport, if you're not doing it for health and just overall fitness, being able to run in an emergency is like a necessary skill. And I think a lot of kids these days are so into their phone, they're not outside, they're not running, you know what I mean? And they're losing that ability to run.
Yeah.
For me, with all of the injuries I have, it's very hard for me to run. And so I can do it like once and then I have to recover for a very long period of time because my back is in pain, my knees, my ankles, my hips, my neck is in pain because of all of the injuries I've sustained over the years in service. And so it's almost impossible for me to walk, maybe the next day or the day after.
That's
So,
that's really bad then.
mhm,
Do you see any improvements? I don't remember if I told you about when we left for a holiday and we decided, as usual, to go by train.
mhm.
And then we had a very long time when I've been working on the laptop, and until the bus station, I was almost half dead. So we didn't run, but just walking through to the bus station was a huge effort for me. And I got a little bit worried, what's happening to me? And then I realized after walking all through that holiday, I've been walking, I don't know, many, many kilometers. I realized that I'm in shape again because I've done it. So, um, at first you get scared that you cannot do it anymore, and then after a while you get in shape. So I was wondering if it, in your case, can be like this. So if you're doing it for a while, it starts to get better, or it's gonna be the same.
The problem is that I may see improvements, but then my recovery time may take longer. And this isn't going to be for everybody. This is just specifically for me with the joints, because your joints aren't getting better as you get older. You know what I mean? They don't recover the same, especially with the injuries that I've sustained. So with that, when you run, you will see an adaptation. You will see, like your better oxygen supply, better blood flow, better heart rate. You're going to see all of those things. And there's ways to work towards that. And there's like, sprinting, you can sprint, that'll help you with your speed. You can work at like 70%. And I'm just being very vague here on many different types of running programs, but sprinting makes you faster. You can do like a 70 to 80% run, and that's where you're running, your mid-range distances, and that's where you're like, that's where you're working your times. And then you're doing your long distance run at a slower pace, and that's your endurance. So like if you work those three, you will see significant improvements. For me, I will still have the recovery at the end. For somebody without the injuries, they will definitely see an adaptation. They'll improve. So the more you do it, the better you get at it. If
Mhm.
very simply, yeah.
I don't like to run. I don't like to run anymore because I used to play professional handball,
Mhm.
and I used to run a lot. So after after stopping it, I kept running, but long distance, slow running,
Mhm.
using a certain kind of breathing, so I won't get very tired. I used to smoke and normal, how do you call it, cigarettes or cigars?
Cigarette,
Over the
yeah.
cigarettes, yeah.
Mhm.
And I remember that one of my friends who was playing basketball, he told me, "You're not gonna be able to run anymore because you're smoking, and let's see how you're doing now. Let's make a competition." And we ran for about 9 or 10 kilometers. I was doing perfectly fine. He didn't, because even though he wasn't smoking, but my long training helped me to do it, and the way I was breathing, even though I was smoking. But in time, I started not to like running anymore. So, I'm doing this like many steps a day, but only in the same place, or just take a long walk, or sometimes. Yeah.
I
I
mean, it's
don't,
good to keep your
if you
body
ask me,
moving.
yeah, yeah. If you ask me to run from here very fast, from here 200 meters, I'm gonna faint. For sure, I'm gonna faint.
Mhm. Well, I mean, that's, it's each person's, like what they see as important in their life. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to say that like running is for everybody, because like I can tell you right now that I do not like to run. I don't know what it is. It's just that it's not the exertion, it's not the energy it takes. I think it's just because, like, with my ADHD, with my hyperactive brain, it's like I'm doing one thing. I think that children should definitely do that, like on your recesses, and we should encourage people to get out and get moving, whether it's a walk, whether it's on the elliptical, whether it's on the
Yeah, yeah.
treadmill. You know what I mean? Whether you're doing something, just getting the body moving. Especially for the emergency situations. You know what I mean? You never know when you're going to need to like chase after a stroller with a baby in it, or run away from a giant rock that's chasing you down like Indiana Jones, or
You never know when the zombies are coming.
zombies. Exactly. You gotta run from the zombies.
This is something that I don't like in Romanian school. They
Hmm.
don't take the kids out in recess. So in recess they are staying in. They can go out, but they don't have anything to do because the break is very short. It's 10 minutes.
Hmm.
So, for example, in my daughter's school, she's at the second floor. Until she goes down, it's gonna end. Those 10 minutes are gonna end. In Denmark, on the other side, they're outside almost half of day at school, which I find great. I mean, I was very content when she was coming home. I knew that she was outside, she was playing, she was running, she was doing all kind of things, even climbing trees and so on. So she took her portion of moving that day and fresh air.
Hmm.
This is very important. In Denmark, people are doing it all the time, except from schools. They are doing this at work as well. They are doing, for example, you don't see people on the street in Denmark. Let's say you want to go in a forest and have a walk, and you think maybe I'm gonna have some quiet time here. No, that's where the people are, in the forest.
Reinforced.
Everywhere. You can find them everywhere. If you go, and if you want to go at night,
Hmm.
for sure you're gonna meet someone running
Hmm.
with a dog or by themselves or cycling. In Denmark, they have the longest bicycle trail in Europe.
Hmm.
I mean, you have let's talk about the highway from here to Copenhagen. You can go by bicycle on a very different road, so you're not going next to the highway. You're going through the forests,
Hmm.
through the landscape. Yeah, it's very nice. So the kids are going to school with the bicycles. They can come from different smaller cities to school by taking the bicycle in the forest. Very, very, very nice and beautiful.
Hmm.
And fresh air and sport.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think biking is quite I see a lot of people biking. I think it's a great exercise in addition to running. Because you can use it as a mode of transportation. There's people here that will bike, they're biking up and down the island. They're biking from Canada to like California. We see it all the time. There's people that run. We have a race called Ragnar here, and you run from Canada, and it's long distance, but it's set up like a relay. So you have a team of people, and then they each take
Mhm.
a leg. They just did one down south. I don't remember what it was called, but it's basically from like a mountain area to the coast. And so like any type of exercise like that is going to be great. And here's why I think that this is important, because if you were to go back in time to before humans had tools, what do you think we were doing to eat meat? We would have to run to catch the meat, right? You'd have to be fast to do it, which means we've actually gotten slower over time.
Yeah.
Um, and so, like, I hear all the time, like people that are coming out of Africa that like are still in the tribes that run. They run every day. They're out there. They're hunting. There's probably tribes in South America that do the same, and they're running through the forest and or plains or whatever, and that's how they catch their prey. As humans in modern society, you see people running, but they're not to that degree. And so I think that it is important to have it, not just as a skill, but as something to like connect with a movement methodology that we've kind of, I wouldn't say we've gotten away from, but our bodies over time have adapted away from that extreme level of need for running, right?
You know what I was thinking about? I was thinking about one of my grandmothers. She died at almost 100 years old. She never did any sports, never in her life. But you know what she's done? She's been like in nature every single day, in
Hmm.
the garden, digging, whatever she was doing there. Every single day of her life, ever since she was a kid, she's been doing this. And I remember one time she only got sick one time. She had something to one of her legs, and she had to stay at my parents for a while. And she told my father, if you're not taking me home to my garden, I'm not gonna get better here. They took her home. In 2 days, she was fresh again. She was in the garden, working the garden. It was the perfect exercise because when you go out in the garden, you're doing all kinds of moves,
Hmm.
but we are not doing it anymore.
Hmm. Connecting with nature in that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not doing it anymore. She was respecting the earth. She was respecting what she was getting to eat from it. She loved to do it. We are
Hmm.
not in this contact with nature, and we are not in contact with this kind of the exercise
Hmm.
when we are working the land.
Yeah.
Uh, it's like a conscious choice to do. She didn't choose that. It was part of her. For us, it's not like a choice. I'm gonna leave the phone down and I'm gonna go run. And
Hmm.
I admire so much the people that can do it.
Well, I mean, you do, like you told me you have like your own exercise routine that you do
Yeah,
that, it's
yeah.
you've got your own movement patterns and stuff that you're doing. So I think that that's great. And you're right, the connection to nature. And I love how you mentioned that because we were just talking about how like back in time, people were connected to nature because they're running to go catch their prey before they had tools. And even after they had tools, they had to, use their feet to get there,
Hmm.
which I think is great because now you're talking about gardening, which is completely separate from running, but it still could be considered exercise. People going out, connecting with nature, but you're also cultivating what you're eating at the same time. So you are essentially in charge of your intake. And I think that is great as well because as we lean towards convenience, the grocery stores, tools, machines, whatever, we start to lose part of what we are. I wouldn't say who
Exactly.
we are, what we are, as, living beings, as creatures that walk or run the earth. I mean, you talked about bicycling. Bicycling is a great form of exercise, a great form of transportation. But you're still outside. You're still as long as you're not like if you're not using an inside bike, which if you're using an inside bike, you live in a city or you don't have access to a regular bicycle. You know what? Good on you. You're there. The biggest block to somebody doing exercise or doing anything is their initial motivation to get up and go do it. So it comes from within. Once
Sure.
once you can make that decision and act on that decision with motivation, with drive, then you can start to reconnect with those different aspects of life that maybe we've set aside from time
Hmm. Yeah. And it's very healthy for your brain too.
to time.
Except the so many benefits for your body health, for your brain is amazing. I mean, when I decide and when I'm doing it, my moves, whatever, I don't care what it is. If I'm doing it, I'm feeling so good about myself, first of all, and then I feel more optimistic that day. I feel that I'm doing better choices with my food, for example, maybe. You know, it's like you go on a trail and you just follow it.
Absolutely. I definitely like doing hikes. We've talked about it before. I'm at the beach. You know what I mean? I'm walking down, the beach. I'm looking for rocks. I'm, doing something. So, I mean, I think we need to kind of get back to nature in that aspect, and reconnect with those lost exercises, if you can. And if you can't, maybe figure out something that works for you.
Sure.
Any last comments before I close out the episode?
What I wanted to say is, don't feel guilty if you're not having the time to do anything with your sport part of the life, because life is busy. And as you well know, in Romania, when I was in Romania, I didn't have time to do anything except running around everywhere, having two, three jobs at the same time. So no one should feel guilty about it because life is crazy. At least in the last years, everyone is busier. People have to work more than before. So what I recommend is at least a walk from time to time. Um, Maybe not take your car to the store, just take a walk there. At least that. But in the rest, you don't have to feel guilty about not having the time to do it. If you're lazy, you have to feel guilty.
Absolutely. And what a wonderful like that. I like having that last, it's like an upbringing because yes, a lot of people they don't have time. They don't have, equipment. They don't have, anything. So a walk, just like you said, is a
Mm-hmm.
great place to start.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
And I guess people aren't walking too much at night in Romania though, because there's too many vampires over there.
Yes, we are very scared. Actually, in Romania is one of the safest places in Europe to walk at night as a girl, as a woman. So it's very safe. Denmark is safe as well, but Romania is pretty safe for girls. So you can see a lot of girls not running around, but just taking walks late at night.
That's excellent. And like, I mean, I guess that's better than the United States because there's a lot of places in the United States at night you can't walk because either you're going to be a target or you're going to get caught in the crossfire. So, I mean, it's good to hear that there are places where people can engage in civilized society and get out, and just go about their lives.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for watching this episode and joining us on this very short journey into running and baking, or running with the baking, or running from the baking, wherever you want to look at it. Please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the link in our description box below for our websites. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, don't forget to leave them in the comment section. Bye.